What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Edison Club podcast. I'm your host, Mike, joined tonight by my two co-hosts, Ty from Behind the Dual Disc podcast.
What's up?
And Austin Deckard, aka Enraged Peacock.
Yo, yo.
So it's been a long year, and we are approaching the end of 2024, and we kind of just wanted to do a Edison wrapped, I guess. Like you see a lot of the Spotify wrapped stuff going around this time of the year. So we're going to do an episode Edison wrapped, and we'll talk about everything that has happened over the course of 2024, our own individual accomplishments, things we've learned, anything like that. So who wants to go first and just kind of tell us about your Edison year?
Before we start off, I want to just ask one quick question to both of y'all. Did y'all's Spotify raps match up with y'all? Did it make sense?
Yeah, mine did.
Mine didn't really happen because. Sorry, go ahead.
So let me see if I still have mine. I may have. Okay. So who do you think my most listened to artist this year was?
Morgan Wallen.
Okay, that's close. All right, close enough. Morgan Wallen was my fifth.
What?
Yeah, he was my fifth. Post Malone is number one.
I should have guessed that.
I listened to Post Malone 1,400 minutes this year. Number 2 is Sabrina Carpenter. Number 3 is Luke Combs. Number 4 is Noah Kahan. Number 5 is Morgan Wallen.
Okay.
So I didn't download Spotify until like a few months ago. So they're like, we don't have enough data, so I didn't get one.
Oh man, my most listened to song was "I Had Some Help" by Post Malone, which does feature Morgan Wallen. So that's why it's kind of like kinda.
I could see that.
So yeah, mine was definitely on brand. I didn't realize that I'd listened to Post Malone that much. And the scary part about it is that's only from half the year, because I mean, I've always listened to Post Malone, but I really started listening when his country album came out in July. So that's only over like 6 months.
Right.
I didn't know he had a country album.
Yeah, he does. What? I think it's really good. How was your Spotify rap, Ty?
It's actually pretty funny. So Luna actually invaded my my Spotify Wrapped.
Ty, why is your most listened to album of the year Bluey the Musical?
No, it wasn't even. Let's see. Let me see. I still got it somewhere. So she crept in there at number 5. Let's see. Here it is. My top artists were number 1 was Drake. I don't like if you know me, like I don't think that's a no-brainer there. Number 2 was a rapper named Derez Deshawn. The number 3 was that, remember that rock group's Sleep Theory I told you about earlier in the year, Boyd?
Yeah.
It was them. Number 4 was Lil Wayne, and number 5 was Pokemon.
Oh my god. I want to be the very best.
Literally that.
Amazing. That's a good one. That's a good Spotify rap.
Yeah, you're teaching her right. So.
Yeah. When I get the chance, I'm gonna go take her to see that new Sonic movie that comes out. That's what she's been dying to go see.
I was a huge Sonic fan growing up, and I haven't watched any of the Sonic movies.
They're good. The Knuckles TV show on Paramount's pretty good too.
Yeah, I need to really catch up on that stuff. Okay, so Ty, since you started off with your Spotify Wrapped, give us your Edison Wrapped. You can start from wherever point this year you want to start from. Just kind of give us a breakdown of this last year.
Oh man, so as far as like tournaments and stuff like that, like it's not it like this year. I'll say this year has not been as good as last year. Last year, like it was like you and me were on a tear last year.
Yeah,
and it's just like every tournament like me and you were topping that we went to.
Yeah.
This year, like I won one of Fraser's I Am Nerd Locals. I was really ecstatic about that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's
Yeah,
very hard.
it is like to anybody listening is like, oh, you won an
So it's an
online.
online local. It's
Yeah,
hard.
yeah.
It's
There's
very
like it's some of the best players in the format that play in these online locals. So I was actually happy. I was really happy to win that. That was one of my goals, like one of my personal goals is to win one of those. I'm sad I'm going to miss the winners ball this
Me
Saturday.
too. I am too.
Um, and then let's see what I think I only got. Yeah, two. I only got that win. And I got top four at the 1K at the BBG. Um, the weekend of nationals with Diva Hero. That's all I've really done this year for as far
Yeah.
as like tournaments go. Like,
How what deck did you commit to the most this year?
oh, Diva Hero, 100%. Like,
Yeah.
I'm always labbing that deck. Like even though it's pretty much just, I'll say it's like 90% solved. Like, it's just, and like the other 10%, you can just chalk it up to like what variant you're wanting to play, whether it be like offensive, defensive, the GK variant. You know, just like it's that's why really just chalk that last 10% up to, because like the the spots you would play, like you would commit for those, like either any of those builds, it's really it's very minimal. Like
Yeah.
the amount of space you have, like with the GK line, like the GK deck, you have like
Yeah, those are the cards that are not making you win the game. They're allowing you to get to a point to win the game, but you're
yeah,
winning with like the Caius, with the Synchros, with the Miracles. The
yeah,
other stuff is just stuff to either keep you alive or help you get to a point to find that win condition faster, basically.
right, exactly. Yeah, it's like it's really like when you it really all boiled down to it, BB Hero just still does the same thing. Those cards just try to help you get to that point a little easier or a little faster.
Do you feel like there was anything that you learned this year that stands out among everything else? Like it could be an interaction that you learned you didn't think about, some kind of innovation through deck building you learned about, just something that you learned that you were pretty proud of that you learned.
You're like aha moment, like where something clicked. Where you're like, wait,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you're lean. Yeah, exactly.
The biggest thing I'll like, I feel like, and we've talked about it. I feel dumb for not realizing this sooner. It's just like the whole thing with our armored arm that we talked about is like
Yeah,
just
that one really
equipping.
does make you feel dumb.
Yeah, just like like your back's against the wall, but you need to deal some life point damage, but you can't crack over their monster. Like just equipping an armored arm to them and then just running and just crashing like an Ab Zero or uh, whatever kind of monster you have onto the field into your opponent just to get that last little bit of life points out of them. Like
Yeah,
it's like not realizing that like that because we're usually used to just doing that with Colossal Army Arm OTK. Like
yeah. It's
it's
different to
just
use it outside of that application.
yeah, you because that like when your deck's able, especially when your deck's able to do that, you get tunnel visioned on that really hard.
Yeah,
You don't think about armory arm at all. Like you'll think
yeah.
about maybe using it for like a level 6 synchro, like towards something else, and that's probably about the most amount of brain power you're going to put towards an armory arm.
Yeah, it comes up a lot for Lightsworn that I've really thought about it because Absolute Zero is such a problem for Lightsworn because if you just JD
Yeah,
nuke it, then you lose your JD. There's been a lot of times where my opponent was at less than 3,000 and I could have just armory armed onto their AZ and ran a JD into it because like it doesn't work with armory arm against AZ if it's on your monster. It has to be on theirs.
yeah, exactly.
I'll tell my horror story about that when it circles around to being my turn.
Well, I was going to kind of piggyback off of what Ty was saying because basically, like, I think what you're explaining isn't necessarily just that specific interaction, but opening up the idea of not just going through motions of I know this line, I know this play, but like looking at the game objectively to find a new outlet for a game instead of just going with like the regular, combo line that you would normally do is like the real takeaway I think from what you learned from that. It's not that you learned armor to do this. It's more of the fact of you learned how to just take the experience that you've had to look for alternative lines that are not, right there in front of you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like and that's really something I've been trying to work on more as a player this year, not just to just find just like all the linear lines to to try and like think more outside the box of like how to like ways I can play to throw my opponent off, different and still win the game, and just like just different, just really just different ways of playing hands.
Yeah, ways that you might miss normally. Like something I try to really focus on is like I know the normal lines, summon JD and nuke the field, but I don't always see the lines that aren't something you normally go for. The really niche lines that can make it or break it for you.
I remember when we were at that 1K tournament, you set Garoth against me. I was like, what?
I did. I literally, I just watched 10foot's video about like setting your Garnet monsters, and I was like, I'm gonna set this Garoth to see if he like goes out of his way to like Dark End Dragon this, and that's exactly what happened. And in that moment I felt so smart, but I still lost. But it was definitely the correct play, because if I had just normaled Garoth, you probably would have just killed me that turn.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
to potentially steal the game instead of just saying these cards suck, I lose. You're like, I have to fabricate a way to possibly see another turn to possibly get to a win con.
Listen, let me tell you, me and Absolute Zero was on a Light Swarm revenge tour that turn.
Dude, you really were. I got the shit beat out of me in our match. I didn't have any defense. There was no lube. There was nothing. It was just you went straight in.
I played 3 or 4 against 3 or 4 Light Swarms that day.
You beat them all, especially that one guy that was siding out Judgment Dragon.
Yes, dude. Oh my god. Sided out Judgment Dragon and Wolves. I was like,
I was feeling a plethora of emotions in that moment when you told me that. I didn't know whether I should laugh, whether I should cry, whether I should just go home and just give up. I was just like, how do I preach this message and people still don't understand?
Yeah,
Frozen kind of pitched that logic to me about siding Judgment Dragons out, and I'm like, I would like to respectfully disagree.
Frozen. So I talked about that with Frozen. He actually has like some logic in there with doing it. This guy was just doing it just because he just wanted to do it. He didn't even have like a reason.
Yeah, he sided in Thunder Kings and Decrees against me.
Yeah, sided in Decrees. I was like, what? I was like, well, you just lost when you got out of the bed this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, you lost when you submitted the deck list.
Yeah, you lost when you submitted the deck list. Yeah.
Not you lost when you submitted the list.
Game was over.
That's probably, so speaking of 2024 thing, that's probably my favorite insult I've used this whole year. Is they lost as soon as they submitted their deck list. That's just been one of my favorite go-to things to say.
That is so funny.
I gotta use that. Oh my god.
When you said that about that hero beat deck the other night, I was losing it. That was so funny. Lost when you click submit.
I give him respect for playing heroes, but I don't want to play vanilla heroes.
Yeah.
I remember Courtney Waller. He used to tell people at regionals, you messed up when you sat down.
Oh my god.
Oh gosh.
I haven't heard that name in a minute. My goodness.
Yeah, Courtney Waller was one of my senseis back in the day.
Oh, is he from your guys' area?
He's from Virginia. Like I would always see him at regionals. Always talk to him like that. Like he was a real good friend of mine. I haven't heard from him in years, but hopefully he comes back. Hopefully he makes his way to Edison one of these days.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, he was really big whenever I was playing competitively. I remember seeing his name at on SJC and YCS top things.
Yeah, he topped a national during it was during Frog FTK, and then
that's when I was the most active. I think I went to that nationals and I played X-Saber.
He won YCS Kansas City.
Yep.
That makes sense because I live in Springfield, which is 2.5 hours from Kansas City. So
Yeah, he won YCS Kansas City with Chaos.
yep, that was the first one in Tengu format, wasn't it? I think.
It was Tengu into Dino Rabbit format because like Dino Rabbit and Dark World had just like started like
Oh yeah, yep.
popping up.
Because we'd always go to regionals in Kansas City.
Yeah,
Because Springfield, we had regionals way back in the day, but during that era, we'd all go to Kansas City. Well, technically Lenexa, but it was a suburb of Kansas City, and then we'd go to St. Louis as well, which is 2 hours the opposite way. But yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, he
I
played.
don't think he was out there for regionals. But,
He attacked for game with DD Crow, which is funny.
Yeah.
Hey, I beat a now two-time RB EBT champion with tactical position Treeborn for beginning of this year.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah. You gotta get anytime you see Gary or OG, you always gotta say, yeah, attack mode Treeborn is the most dangerous Treeborn.
Did Dimitri win RBT rulers last year?
I think so.
Yeah, I right after he won that, he popped up at our BBG 5K that we had last year, and he was my first round opponent.
He was the guy that was playing the Icarus attack in Bayou, right?
Yeah, he was playing fairies when I played against him. I ended up beating him. I flipped a return from different dimensions and dropped.
Yeah. He lost when he submitted his deck list.
Yeah.
Dimitri is good, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
A lot of respect for that guy.
With him, I met him, but he's won a lot of things, so I give him props because he's earned them. I don't know anything about him.
So with the BBG tournament of the guy siding out Judgment Dragons, that kind of brings us up to the summer. Is there anything past the summer that you want to talk about before we move on to Enraged?
Really, like as far as like that, like different decks I've tried out and stuff. Like I tried out the Value virus deck. Closest I got with that, I top forward on one of Fraser's I'm Nerd Locals with that, and then after I got 10th at a PS5 tournament that we went to.
Oh yeah, yep. Do you want to? I'll tell you what, a good send off for your end of year review. Tell us about your BBG 3v3 experience.
Oh gosh. So
and you can be unhinged as you want to. Just if you're gonna be unhinged on someone, just don't mention their name.
Oh yeah, I'm not. I definitely won't. So like with the BBG 3v3, like so it was originally our team was supposed to be me, Cole, and Wood. Well, Austin Wood got sick, and it was like okay, so we were going to go with our other friend Glenn, but then he had some issues pop up, and he wasn't able to do it. No big deal. So then we're like, me and Cole are like scrounging for another person, and then we found another person, and
it could have gone better.
It could have gone a lot better. A lot. I don't want to OD and go in because I don't want to be that guy. But it felt like a 2v3. I'll say that.
We've all been there.
The first, like when we did the first Edison tournament, the day one, I got scraped. Like I went 0-3 drop, and I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna play the exact same list and just go in with it again.
Yeah,
and I go 5-0. Like individually, I was undefeated. My team was not. And I was hoping, like me and Cole could just like double team it and just get there. But we came up short and got 9th place.
Dang, the fact that you were that close to topping, even under those circumstances, does say a lot.
Yeah, like I in my head I had, because like I knew we probably wouldn't make the top 4. I was just wanting to make top 8 just so I could like because this might seem very like materialistic. And I won't like harp on this too much. Like this might seem like materialistic. I just want I wanted that mat just so I could frame it, just so I could have like something in my house as like a trophy of saying, hey, I'm finally starting to accomplish things in Edison because I have nothing like I've done well in Edison, but I have nothing really to like physical to show for it.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I definitely
That's not
understand that.
materialistic. That's just a normal part of competition. You want to be rewarded when you do well. That's just what drives competition.
Yeah, I mean, I've won money. That money's gone.
I can't express to you, dude, like the feeling, and this might be so silly for some people that are listening, but when I brought home that 2K top 8 playmat,
yeah,
like that thing was like a gold bar in my arm. Like people can make fun of me or whatever they want to for that, but like when you go from just like doing so much work and Yu-Gi-Oh and having nothing to show for it to even having something as simple as a rubber playmat, it means a lot to you. Like same thing goes for like the little BBG metal like pins that Diego gave out. Like the first one I got of those, like I put it in a little shadow box that's on my desk, and like there were people that just left theirs on the table, and I'm just like protecting this thing with my life till I get it home.
Dude, like that was another thing I wanted that thing so bad. Like, have you? I had that one video of Denzel Washington, where he's saying, "I'm leaving here with something."
Yeah,
I had that playing in my head. I'm like, I'm a front around the way. I'm leaving with something. And I was and like, dude, I will say this. I am proud of. I played my ass off. Like,
yeah.
You should be.
To try and make it happen.
Earned, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, I like one of these days I'm like my goal for 2025. Like if I can get to a YCS, I want to win an Ultimate Time Wizard. Like
Yeah. The best you'll be
that's-
able to do though is second, because I'm winning one in 2025.
I don't know. I still got some more Lightsworn Revenge Tour left in me.
That's gonna be a stacked team when we have 3 people winning, because I was planning on winning 2025.
Damn, 3-way tie for first.
Hey,
well, no,
they did a split in Europe. Why can't they do it here?
Hey, I guess that's true.
I'll split the prizes with you guys. I won't split the title.
We're playing for the title.
Yeah, reminds me the GIF, the meme and like GIF, everything I sent whenever I topped the one thing I did this year was from the Fast and the Furious, where it's like, if I win, I get the money and the respect. And he's like, some people that's worth more than others, or whatever Paul Walker says.
We'll end up Edison Club will make up 7 of the top 8 spots of an Ultimate Time Wizard. 8th place will just be a guy with his Ojama deck that hadn't played since 2010. Ultra Pro deck box Magic the Gathering size sleeves ends up getting first.
Yeah.
Hey, Oja Machine Gun, man. Snipe Hunter. Pitch
Snipe Hunter, pitch Oja Magic.
Those magical hats.
Yeah, magical hats.
Field.
God.
Okay. Well, anything else you want to say about your year before we move on, Ty?
My last thing I want to say, and I'll try to say it without getting too mushy. I just want to say I am very appreciative of all of my friends. I consider like all y'all family. Like, I'm just very appreciative for all y'all. Like for everything y'all done for me. Like what, like in the game and out of the game. Like it's meant a lot to me.
Of course, man. Of course. It's been a great year.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. Enraged. Tell us about your Edison Wrapped for 2024.
I didn't do anything this year.
All right. That's the end of the podcast. Good night, everyone.
Well, I mean, so I like realistically speaking, I didn't do a whole lot, because I only entered a handful of my locals. And
you just topped nationals. That's all you did.
One of Fraser's online locals, and then I went to one event and I didn't make top 8, and it was the biggest event of all time for Retro Yu-Gi-Oh. So that was pretty.
Humble brag.
I mean, it was one of those things. It's kind of like what Ty was saying. It's like, to me, the map was. I haven't framed it yet. I want to, just because like the emotion you feel when you're like, I've worked so hard and been playing this game for so many years, to finally have something to be like, I submitted myself in somewhere in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. If I go 10 years in the future and come back and look 10 years, I can still pull up my name and see, oh, I topped that event. Like
Yeah, that's very cool.
I had always wanted to listen for as, you know, a teenager, like wanting to always play a game and be one of those people. But
yeah,
we can start at the beginning. So I've mentioned a couple times our local, we track all of our games and we do all of our locals, and then they do like a deck of the year kind of thing for each format because we do a couple different formats rotated with it. We had 7 Edison tournaments. I won 5 of the I won 7 events total, 5 of which were Edison, and we had 20 Edison tournaments total. So I won almost a third of the, or be exactly 1/4 of the Edison tournaments that we had at my local. So I finished the year being the player of the year with the most wins overall because we track individual games as well as like matches. So that was a cool little thing to have the same year that I topped nationals also be the year that I became the player of the year at my local where I won the most. So it's just showing that all the hard work and stuff I've been doing has some sort of merit and paying off for it. So
yeah,
by leaps and bounds, 2024 has been the best credential wise for my Yu-Gi-Oh career, and a lot of that comes from like the online Discord servers. Like I met all of you guys through like Fraser's like Discord thing, and that's how I got to be around people who were playing and allowed me to kind of go to the next level and be better. And then by that allowed me to get to where I could top to nationals, and I top nationals. I'm like, hey, I actually have a credential. Can I be on the team? And then you guys are like, yes, we love having you. And this has been nothing but great the second half of the year.
yeah, yeah. Once we added you to the team, I remember Ty messaging me saying you wanted to join, you had interest in joining. I was like, I'm 100% down. Let's just call a vote just to make sure. And literally everyone said yes. It was awesome.
Yeah, I was completely 100% down with it because like I know you're good. I knew you were a good dude, and like I know you're a great player. First of all, shout out to the fact that me and Enraged both topped with Diva Hero in the same weekend.
With the same list.
With the same list. Shout out to that Mermaid Man Barnacle Boy going live in the flesh.
Yes, sir.
I'm happy for Enraged. I'm happy for you too, Ty, but I'm sad that it had to involve destroying me for you to get there.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, it was on my birthday too.
I had to give you your birthday spanking.
Yeah, dude. You know what I got for my birthday?
Like said,
nothing.
The first podcast I was like on, how the whole weekend was crazy because it was your birthday, and then it was also the anniversary of my mom's death date. So like that whole trip was like super extra emotional for me on top of everything because I don't ever travel. I can't really afford to travel, and I decided to, you know what, like I had some stuff happen. I'm like, I'm going to just make it happen, and I went and I did the thing. And financially, Konami didn't compensate me for it, but the amount of joy, like it was the worst financial decision I've probably made, but it was the best like mental health decision I think I've made for the entire year. Because my second half of the year, I'm a different person, like just overall happy because of everything that I did from that one like singular trip. From the, like I said, playing, just getting actual credential, but mostly just the people. Like that's the reason why we play this game realistically, is for the people, like, and making friends, and the whole cheesy cliche like, oh, it's the friends you meet along the way, but it really is,
Yeah, it's really true. Like, in all honesty, I know my mom and like some of my other family members, they ask me why do I still play this game?
Why do I still play them cards?
Yeah, exactly. Why do I still
them
play
cards?
Those cards? Yeah, like literally, I don't know how many of my aunts and uncles still to say that at family functions. And yeah, I'll be like, yes, I still do play those cards. And like honestly, if I didn't have the friends that I have made over the years, if I didn't have like Boyd, you, Gammons, Combs, list could go on and on. This would be like a 2-hour podcast, 2-3 hour podcast. If I didn't have all y'all, I wouldn't be playing Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm just be honest about it.
Yeah. Same here. If I didn't have all of you guys.
Go ahead.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Is if I didn't have you guys, I wouldn't be playing either.
Yeah, it's funny because I was telling my, so I mentioned earlier, like, so both my parents have deceased, so I talked to my grandparents like they're my parents, and my grandma was like, "You're going where to play them cards with people you don't know from the internet?" I was like, "Yeah, like it's not the 90s anymore.
Not from the internet."
She's like, well, they can rob you. I'm like, what are they gonna take? Like, I don't have anything from them to steal. Like,
That's what I always say. They're like, you're gonna get robbed. I'm like, what they gonna take? Take it.
That's what I say anytime I go and anytime me and Jordan go out anywhere. It's like if somebody tried to rob me, they just be practicing, they just be getting pictures and shit out of my wallet.
Yeah, same. Be like, here you go.
Made a similar joke about identity theft. Like, you want to steal my identity? Go ahead. If you want to hear the phrase "full deposit required," have at it.
A quick funny story. I keep getting these emails from Instagram because like I don't use Instagram. I don't use Instagram, TikTok, and like none of that stuff anymore. Like the only things I have is like Facebook, YouTube, and Discord. So I keep getting emails from Instagram saying that somebody's like trying to like log into my Instagram or whatever. Like if somebody really just honestly wants to be me on Instagram, go ahead. I have like 52 followers. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I don't know what makes things like that actually happen. It's weird. I've got notifications like that off of a Twitter that I made in like 2009, and I'm just like, bro, I don't even think I posted anything on there. Like, why y'all want it so bad? Just make an account.
Right, just make an account.
Metadata is a very lucrative secondary crazy market from what I understand. I don't know a lot about it, but I know that email addresses and that little whole branch of crazy online things I don't know nothing about, like there's a big market for what they call metadata. I know it has something to do with that is all I can imagine.
Gotcha. I don't know nothing about it.
Overall, so realistically, like I entered one RBT this year. I played one round, and it was against a guy named KRSH, who's a pretty known European player. I beat him, and then challenge crashed. And the following day, I had my son, so I couldn't compete the next day. So that's the only RBET thing I did this year. So technically undefeated in RBETs, but it's a whole nice round. I played Vayu Turbo at that one. I was still trying to. The beginning of the year, I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to play. Like the first time I had success with the Rock deck, which I definitely want to go back to and keep cooking with because I think it's really good. Obviously, Diva Hero is my lord and savior since it got me to top 8 at nationals. Basically, anything with absolute zero is what I think. The way the format's kind of shook up, it's there's Vayu Sirocco and there's Miracle Fusion, and I'm on Team Miracle Fusion. So
same.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Team Miracle Fusion. Like, I think that Absolute Zero was just a card I played with a lot when I was younger, so I always love Absolute Zero.
Still surprises me to this day that you're not playing that deck.
Yeah, it's not from lack of trying either. Like, I have had Diva Hero quite a few times. Diva Hero was my first deck picked up when I got into Edison. It's just like, I just picked to hard focus on Lightsworn, and then now I've kind of branched off into learning Fish, but Diva Hero could still be up there. It could still happen. Never say never.
Well, I'm a big fan and big proponent of playing as many decks as you can, even if you just play online, which I don't play as well online. We were talking earlier about like thinking of different plays like outside the box. For some reason, that doesn't compute with me online. Like I don't have the same kind of mindset. Like I can look at a line and I don't look at it the same way as if I'm physically holding the cards. I can see stuff, and then just the whole aspect of actually playing versus the player versus playing the cards you're dealt has a lot more nuance in person, and that's some of the things I really do like is like how you guys were kind of saying earlier, like that I know that so I'm gonna do this crazy thing that I wouldn't normally do because you're gonna anticipate me to do that. That's the stuff where I just love that kind of thing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I think go ahead, Boyd.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, the dynamic is just so different from in-person events to online. Like, in person, you just have like all of these people standing around watching you. Maybe they're cheering for you, maybe they're silently judging you. You have fatigue, everything that goes into a Yu-Gi-Oh event from traveling there. And then online, it's just you in your room, with the air conditioning on, with your sandwich, like you're in your pajamas. So it's just a lot different.
Yeah, like the environment's a lot different. Like it's a lot calmer in your home than it would be like at a convention center filled with like thousands of Yu-Gi-Oh players. And one thing I like, and I might be completely crazy. I might it might be a little bit of cope in there, some mix in there somewhere. I honestly think it like where we like to play more in person. rather than play online. I kind of think that kind of plays into being like a generational thing as well. Like because we're all from the
Yeah.
like from the era where you like we played more played more like in person than we did online. Like I remember like we've talked about before, YBD was a nightmare. Like
Yeah.
it
I
was
was a full grown man when doing network first stuff. I was a full grown adult. Like
yeah,
I was paying taxes when doing network started. So I'm like,
same. I remember when Dual Network started, and that itself that was just that was a weird thing to just kind of like really get used to.
it makes that makes a lot of sense too, because I was actually talking with Bluffnock not super long ago on one of his in his Discord server, like on the voice chats, and I made some joke, and then he was saying something about how like just he's like you want to know if your opponent's ass, like watch them slide their graveyard. He's like, like Peacock, he's like, I watched him play and he knows how to slide his graveyard, how to hold his cards, and how you do stuff. He's like, the way you when you sit down and you see someone play and how they handle their cards, you can tell if they've been playing for a long time or not. And I was like, well, that's a weird, like, almost backhanded compliment, but I appreciate it because it's the similar kind of thing where when I sit down to play someone, like at Nats, I was asking them like, where are you from? Because if they're like, oh, I'm from New York, I'm like, okay, so you were here for a reason because you didn't just drive to this local, this thing because it was like in your neighborhood, like you're here to compete. And then like the craziest thing that I've noticed that I learned from way back in the day that I noticed people don't do hardly ever anymore. But whenever I was sitting there playing my opponent, like I'm a very laid back, non-aggressive person, and like I don't make like eye contact kind of freaks me out sometimes. Like whenever I'm playing the game, like I'll sit there and I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna stare right at you, and I'm like, is that good? And like make eye contact and be like confident in everything that I do. Versus I see a lot of people just looking at their cards and then they don't actually look at their opponent. You know what I mean? They're always kind of like
Yeah.
looking. I don't know how to properly articulate it, but whenever I was someone got a picture of me playing. Whenever I was playing, I was like straight mean dogging this guy in the face whenever I'm summoning and attacking. I was like, oh, dang. Like Frodo was
Staring
like,
him
yeah, he's like,
down.
you had conference hockey. I'm like, I'm not that far into the thing, so don't spoil it. But then I learned what that meant. I was like, oh, that's actually a crazy compliment. So thank you. Shout out to Frozen, by the way.
I do the stare as well, especially if I know I have game and I already know what my like I know
Yep.
if I have back
You have
rows,
those
I
diva
know.
hero hands. So you're like, I
Yeah,
know what this combination means. You
yeah.
lose.
I won't even look at the field. I'm staring right at them.
Mhm.
It's like I'm just like game.
Part of that, so there's an actual like good thing with that, and I played a lot of poker for a decent amount of time, and it may have been something I picked up from playing just over the years of playing poker. But whenever you're playing poker, like No Limit Hold'em, do you guys know anything about poker before I go on this
I
little
don't know
side tangent?
anything actually.
I do.
So when you're playing poker, you have two cards, and then they have what's called the flop. Three more cards come out, and then you have
Yeah.
another card, and then another card, and then you compare hands and you win. Most time you don't get to the end, you win by pushing them off before it gets to that point.
Okay, so it's
Well,
modern Yu-Gi-Oh.
basically, more or less, but a lot more skill and nuance. But what I'm getting at is whenever the flop comes, the first three cards. The most common thing I learned that I was taught was whenever you look at what most people do, you look at your cards, you look at that cards, and then you're thinking about what you want to do. Well, whenever the flop comes and it's like whenever I'm playing and I see the flop come, I'm not looking at the flop. I'm looking at all the players when that flop comes because their expressions will change when they see their cards, but those cards on the table will not change. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So applying that logic kind of Yu-Gi-Oh, if when they draw, I'm watching. Well, that's also how you don't get cheated too. Is watch everything that they do, and whenever you're doing, just be like very, like we were saying it in the group chat the other day. Like every single time I do something, I'm like, okay, so you paid 800 for break, you're at 72. Okay, so I'm gonna go attack with my Stratos over your Armor Master or your Armonite. That's 400. So now you're at 68. Like doing little things like that and being extra vigilant like during the game is something that is something that I think that I've always known, but it really excelled and helped propel me like when I was playing at nationals was like using like body language not to make reads like, oh, he must have this because of this, just like overall understanding and like being aware in that game at that time is really helps like propel you to be better. Because like if I'm at home I'm doing book, I've got my cats running around, usually I have my son, like there's so many distractions, I'm not fully in there. But like if I'm at nationals at that table, nothing else in the world is happening right now besides that immediate game in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah. That definitely makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I can agree with that 100%. I whenever I'm just like testing with friends, or especially on Dueling Book, I'm significantly different of a player than I am if I play against you in person.
Yeah.
I'm pretty honestly like kind of stone faced whenever I play in person. I've just learned that if I try to like be too funny or talkative, I'll just start to misplay. So I kind of just have to be like that, just laser focused.
I do to an extent, but not completely, because it is still a game. So I do like to try to have fun, but I remember last round of Swiss, game 3. If I win, I top. If I lose, he tops. And we're shuffling up, signing. I'm like, okay, last game of the day, and I'm like, all right, good luck, man. I'm like, just don't open Whirlwind Shura, and it opens Whirlwind Shura. So I'm like, crap. But
Yeah.
I go, so that was kind of like a little funny thing. But then I go, set Snowman, set MST, and then he MSTs my MST, and my MST hits his Whirlwind, and then he runs a Shura into my Snowman Eater. So I went second, but got like a +2 just by T setting.
Yeah.
It was good.
Very nice. Very nice. I wanted to lightly touch on a caveat here. You said that Bluff Knock could kind of tell if someone is good based off of like their sleeves, how they fan their graveyard.
Yeah.
That man would not know what to do if he played against this guy that goes to our locals named Yi Ching. And if you're listening to this and you don't know who Yi Ching is, Yi Ching shows up. We're playing the same sleeves that he had 10 years ago. Okay, so these are literally 10-year-old sleeves. Literal Ultra Pro deck box with like the fucking Velcro on it, the little Velcro dot on it. And he doesn't play on a playmat. He just like raw dogs his cards on the table and then just beats the shit out of people like with minimal effort. Like
he was literally getting mad at the last BBG tournament that we were at because he was on stream and had to play on a mat because it was throwing him off.
Yeah, he had to play on a mat.
He was
forgot about that.
Like literally, he was like people were saying like he's like his game is thrown off. It's like why? Because he's having to play on the mat. He's pissed about it. I'm just like yo.
He literally never plays on a play mat. There was a round at the BBG event where I look over and I'm like, Yi Ching's not here. The round started. So I go run around the whole venue to try to find him. If I finally find him in the bathroom, I'm like, hey, the round started, Yi Ching. So I'm like, you need to run. And he gets back before he gets like a game lost or anything. And then like 5 minutes later, I walk by and he's gone again. And I'm just like, what happened? He's like, oh, I won. I'm like, damn. Like, chill.
That kind of reminds me, I have a super quick little story to kind of piggyback off that. So one of my best friends here locally and one of the best players, and he was basically like my mentor kind of coming up because he's a couple years older than me. His name's Conway. Shout out Conway. I love you.
I love you too, Conway.
Does something similar, but on a different way when we used to go to regionals where he would intentionally play like really gaudy, like cheap sleeves, or like paper mat from the deck box, or like from the like starter deck, or like he's used his grandma's like a chicken mat, like kitchen mat placeholder thing. Like all those ridiculous things, like, oh yeah, they're gonna think I'm ass, so they're gonna probably underestimate me, and then he would go in back and just 2-0 them, and it was insane. It was so fun to watch. He would always do ridiculous. I think he's played on like a McDonald's like tray before for a mat. Like he's just done some wild.
That's things. Legendary.
Did he play?
Or the second most tops like in our area.
Did he play dinosaurs at one point in time?
When?
When dinosaurs got their ultimate conductor time, right?
No. He quit whenever I quit, like in like 2012. I don't think he made like Mermail. I think his last top was with Frog Monarch or right when Dino Rabbit started. He made top with Dino Rabbit. I don't know his whole list, but basically anything past 2012, he hadn't been in the game.
Speaking of paper playmat, I'll give you this. It's really funny. I tell this story to people sometimes. My first regional I ever went to was at Star City Games in Roanoke, Virginia. And your first event, you don't really know how anything works. Like you don't know, like I didn't know like points per win or what like X1 meant. I was just there to play. So I think I started off X3 and I was like, oh, I wonder, like, can I work myself back up? Like, is it really that bad? And I looked over to my left, and my opponent is literally taking rubber bands off of his unsleeved deck, and I was like, damn, I'm cooked, bro. Like, I'm so cooked. That terminology didn't even exist in, like, 2012, but I was so cooked.
Bro, I remember back in the day, I would try my best to like to find a way to get you to come with me to regionals.
I had to be home by 9 o'clock.
bad. Yeah, I know. I was like, I remember you told me that. I was like, dude, there's no shot in hell we'll be back by 9 o'clock.
Bro, there were multiple reasons why at some of the events that you guys went to, I wouldn't be back by 9 o'clock. The first one was just the event would take longer than that. The second one was like, who knows what Harold would have gotten us into.
Oh God, yeah.
So I have a quick question for that. So I know, like, I know you're kind of a bigger, like, taller person. Mike, how tall are you? Or not, like, you don't have to give me your exact height. Like, are you like a taller guy, shorter guy? Like,
6 foot according to my driver's license.
Okay. So yeah, so I'm like 5'7", like, so I'm a short little guy, right? My very first regional trip, I had to ride in like the hatch of a minivan.
Oh my God.
Like this lane back there, and I don't know if you guys know who the band Cheetos is, but we were listening to a band called Cheetos, and it's like just like screamo metal, like awesome stuff. And I was maybe 14 years old. I think I was a freshman, so I'd be like 14, 15 years old, and I'm like, I'm just living the dream. But I had to I rode 3 hours to Kansas City in the back of like a minivan, like
oh my God,
like, pop my head up and like talk to people. But the way a minivan is, the trunk kind of sits down below the seats, and I fit perfectly in there because I was even shorter. Like that, so I just chilled back there for my first ever regional trip, and yeah, 30.
Oh my God, you just brought back like a dormant memory, and let me tell this story really quickly before I do my Edison Wrapped. So I learned at one point in time why I should never ride with someone to an event that I do not know. So this was a Charlotte regional. And Ty was there. Ty can attest to this. I have to censor some of this. I definitely have to censor some of this. So we end up saying we're going to ride, in a Suburban. So like a 3-row, seater kind of thing with this guy who I didn't really know. I knew his friend, like a friend of a friend. We get there and I'm like, okay, it's like a relatively nice vehicle. Okay. We get in there and there's no 3rd-row seats. And me and my buddy at the time, Taylor, were like, well, what about us? And he's like, oh, just ride in the back. So we ride in like the trunk area of this Suburban. So naturally, everything's already going terrible this morning. I'm not even in a seat. I'm literally laying in the cargo hold like I'm a fucking golf bag or something.
that was my designated spot because I was always the little guy. So I feel
I'm just like a bag of potatoes in the back of this thing. I finally managed to somehow fall asleep, and I look up, and I'm not kidding when I say this. This guy's miles to empty on his dash said 3 miles to empty, and I was like, why are we still on the highway? What are we doing? And I look over, and like the gas hand is like way below E. Like it would be pointing at like 6 o'clock if it was on a clock. And I'm finally like, hey, should we stop and get gas? He's like, oh yeah, I guess we should. I'm like,
oh,
we're
yeah,
doomed.
I guess we should is crazy.
We're doomed. I'm so cooked, dude. We managed to somehow get to the event in one piece, which is good. The event goes terrible. I don't even remember what I played. Doesn't matter. I got cooked. Halfway through the day, I walk out to the car just to go put my bag in the car, and the guy that drove us there was doing some illegal substances in his car with the windows down. And I'm like, bruh, what are you doing? This is like out here in front of God and everybody. Elton John, damn near everybody's out here. Like, what are you doing?
It was illegal and scary back then. I'm like,
yeah. And I'm just like, whatever. I go back inside. I'm just like about to go play probably the last game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever play because I'm easily going to die on the way home. And we start leaving, and I'm like, okay, back of the Suburban. At least it's nighttime now, so like the police probably can't see me in the back of this thing. This guy lights one up going down the highway. Going down the highway, he is blazing with the windows down, and like we're going through like Charlotte and all this stuff, and I'm just like, I look over, and I'm just like, if we get pulled over, there is one person in this car that is not going to jail, and that was my friend Logan, because he was a white guy wearing his seatbelt. That was the only. Everyone else in that vehicle was going to jail. And like, I already talked to my friend. I was like, if we get pulled over, I'm throwing him under the bus immediately. Like, zero hesitation. Like, and I might even say I got kidnapped.
No, I got kidnapped.
So
No.
we managed to get back to town, and this guy has the fucking audacity to ask me for gas money, and I was like, no. No, you will not get gas money. And then my friend Taylor, this is the perfect end to this. He's so mad about riding in the back of this Suburban. He takes both legs and kicks the back gate open of this Suburban. Both of his shoes fly off and land in the only puddle in this parking lot. The only puddle. He's like, I'm going home. I've had enough. And that was the story of the worst time I've ever been to a regional. Actually, somehow that was the second worst time. There is a time that was actually worse.
Gosh.
Yeah, I was lucky where anytime I was going to an event, I'd always ride with my boy Billy. So shout out Billy. I love you too, Billy. But
Shout outs to Billy. I guarantee you're better than who I rode with.
It was just me and Billy, and I've known him for years, and it was just me and him. So, we had plenty of room. He had a nice car. It was a G35 Infinity something. I remember we went to Dallas and we were doing like 135 in the middle of the night. I was like, I've never been this fast. Stuff coming at us. Like, this ain't okay. But anytime I had to go anywhere, I almost always went with Billy, and it was always easy, cool. Like, we had the same taste in music. Like, had a bunch of stuff to talk about. So it was always a chill trip because I don't drive places anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I would just fly because I'm like, I could have drove to Texas and it would have been like a 10-hour drive. But I'm like, or I can just fly. So I chose that.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Most of the time, our trips were pretty good. Besides my very first one, where I was stuck in the back of a minivan. But yeah.
Let me quickly say, because this is really funny while we're on this topic. Let me tell the story of my absolute worst trip to a regional. And Ty wasn't there, so he actually doesn't know about this one.
Oh gosh.
So back in the day, they used to have regionals in Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is like 4 hours from where I live.
Yeah,
so we just
north, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So we decide we're going to go to this regional. My friend picks me up at like 9 o'clock at night. He really liked to drive at night. We decide we're going to go to Salisbury, which is like 2 hours from where I live, and stay with our other friend. So we drive there. We get there, and there's nowhere to sleep. Our friend promised us there would be somewhere to sleep. There was nowhere. There was a floor. That was it. Literal, just carpeted floor. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. So we decide to just stay up the whole night. And around 3 a.m, I get hungry. So we decide we're going to go to the Circle K up the road. I get the great idea to get 2 hot dogs from Circle K at 3 a.m.
Nope.
Oh god.
And I get back, and dude, those hot dogs went right through me. So I can't remember if I've told this story on the podcast or not. It's really funny regardless. So I'm so irritated. I just want to take a shower, right? So I'm like, but my stomach's also messed up. So I do what I have to do, get in the shower. Then I hear water spilling from outside the shower. I look over and the toilet is exploding. It is rupturing. It is like fucking Dante's Peak over there. And it's overflowing on my clean clothes.
Oh god.
All over my shoes, over everything. Because like
I would have been 11 different kinds of pissed off.
I was.
I've been knocking everything over.
I get out and I managed to kick my pajamas outside so they don't get poop water all over them. Meanwhile, the whole bathroom's flooded. It's like 100 leagues under the sea in there. And we have to... My friend doesn't have any towels. We have to go back to this same Circle K and buy all of their paper towels. Go back and clean it up. The regional's the next day. I have no clothes. The only clothes I have are poop clothes. I had to wear my pajamas to this regional. Batman pajamas, Batman slippers. I didn't even have socks to wear. It's cold. And I go to the event, massively scrub out. And that's also the same one that Donald Trump was rallying at in Spartanburg at the same hotel. So there's like Secret Service agents like walking around the hotel.
That's wild.
So we leave the regional. I drive back to Salisbury. Mind you, I haven't slept well over 24 hours. Everyone in the car is asleep. We get back. And by this point, I'm just thinking about like how comfortable the carpet's going to be. Like, because I'm going to sleep. We get back, and this guy, his roommates are literally doing cocaine off of the kitchen counters.
What?
They are literally doing cocaine. My friend isn't, but like his roommates are. And I look at the guy I rode with and I was like, I'm either sleeping in your car or we're leaving. So we get in his car and we drive home, and I get back to Mount Airy at like 4 a.m. after not sleeping for like well over 48 hours. That was the absolute worst regional experience I have ever had in my life.
That sounds like it.
Yeah. So if I've told that before, people got to hear it again. And if not, it's always really funny. It's funny now. It was not funny then. I was very mad. Yeah. I was very mad about that for a long time.
I have a super, super quick thing about Nats that kind of relates to that. Because when I first got to Nats, me and Frozen got the hotel, and then he was still driving in. So I was there like the first night by myself. Well, I get there and the AC is going. It says it's going at least, but it's 86 degrees in this room. And 86 degrees inside does not feel like 86 degrees. It feels like 140 degrees. It was insane. I couldn't sleep. Then the next, whenever Frozen shows up the next day, he came with a couple of his friends that drove with him, and he was like, do you care if these guys stay? I'm like, that's fine, but they're gonna sleep on the floor because I'm getting a bed. That was the deal. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. Well, we end up getting rooms switched because the AC didn't work, and then the guys go in there and take a shower, and they go to flush the toilet, and the same thing that what you said basically started happening, where it was
God,
we couldn't stop it. And I'm like, nope. I'm like, I paid a lot, like not a lot, like it wasn't a fancy hotel, but it was like more money than I was comfortable spending to begin with. And I'm like, I'm like, I already slept. I can barely sleep with the way too hot AC. Now the toilet's working. I'm like, I want a different room. So we ended up getting a different room. And the next room, I was like, I turned the AC on, and it was like 66 degrees that night. It was frosty in that bitch. I was so fucking done.
I love it.
Because it was summer, and Texas, it was hot. That's why we were all wearing gym shorts in our pictures, because it was hotter than hell that weekend.
Yeah, I can imagine. Jeez.
So there's my quick little story about that. But we had almost a similar thing, but now that we're in our 30s and adults, we were able to circumvent some of it to get a different room. Man.
Okay, so let me quickly go over my Edison Wrapped from this year. So this year was actually very eventful for me. I got married in January, coming up on my first anniversary.
I did not know that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was married for a while.
Yep, I just got married last January. So Yu-Gi-Oh! In January was pretty slow, as it normally is. So my first time playing Yu-Gi-Oh! After the 5K last December was at a Tengu tournament, actually. At Big Boy Gaming, their first and only Tengu tournament. I played Gravekeepers, the best deck of Tengu format. I got third place. That was a lot of fun. Real Tributing People was awesome.
Oh yeah, congrats.
And after that, there was just like some Switch tournaments and like some PS5 tournaments. We started going back to this shop called Timmy Mac Cards and Games or Comics or something like that in Morganton, North Carolina, that we used to go to like well over 10 years ago. So it was cool to go back there. We had YCS Raleigh that we went to earlier this year, and I played Christia Sworn there. Ended up misplaying so bad, dude. It haunts me so bad against this Vayu player. Like round 5, like X1 round 5 have to win out. And for some reason, I just did not make Tempest Magician for game. I don't know why, but I was literally just sick from that. And I'm like sitting there like just tunnel vision. Yeah. Just like sitting there collecting myself. Frazier walks up to me and he's like, how's it going? I'm like, bro, I'm so sick. And he's like, what? And I'm like, no, I'm not actually sick, but I'm sick. I have to like explain.
COVID was only a few years ago.
Yeah. I have to explain all of that. And like, oh my gosh, dude, that really haunts me. And then flash forward to YCS Indy. We go, we take a huge carload of people to Indy. It's like me and Glenn, our friend Steven, Justin, Sasha, and Adam. We took Glenn's van all the way to Indianapolis. Stayed in easily the nicest hotel I've ever stayed in. Super fun event. I end up losing round 1 to zombies, and then like winning out like the next like 6, I think, 5 or 6 rounds I won straight. And I play against Rick Novak, who's part of like the Chicago guys, Eric Shin, all of those guys.
If you watch ELS, apparently I'm Rick Novak and Rick Novak is me. So fun little history lore. He completely swapped us in his video. It was really funny. Sorry.
No, you're good. I end up losing to him, which basically brings my tournament run to an end. And we were talking about the armory arm thing earlier in this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally realized like 6 months later that I could have actually beaten him in like the most niche way. And I can flash back and remember it. So here's the situation. He's at like 36 or 37. I'm at like 31 or 32. His field is Future Fusion, AZ, and Alias. And my hand is Raikou, Heavy, and double JD. So I'm like, there's no way that I can like JD nuke, because he also had like 6 cards in his hand or something crazy, and still win this game with like losing 1 JD to the AZ. So I think I just end up like setting Raikou or something and passing, and then he like, summons Diva, makes Brio, kills me. And I was like, like in hindsight, looking back on it, I just used the plague that's in my grave, summon the Raikou, make Armory Arm, put it on his AZ, drop both JDs, and run both in and deal him 6,000.
Yep.
And I'm just like, I'm glad I realized that was a line there, but I'm also so mad I didn't know about that in the moment, like, because we had such a good match. The guy's so crazy good at Yu-Gi-Oh.
He's
but
really cool too. I enjoy talking to him the little bit I talked to him.
Yeah, he's super chill. But yeah, I just realized that like a few weeks ago. Felt like an idiot, but hey, I mean that's part of growth. It's part of my Edison Wrapped is looking back to a year ago. When I did top a couple of events, and back then I thought I was really good, and now I'm just like, I thought I was good, but I really wasn't. A year later, so the growth is real.
Yeah, growing is the most important. That's one of the reasons I do really always love talking to you guys about deck ideas and deck theory, is to actually like anecdotally look at stuff and realize like what I did here was incorrect. And I've done that a lot because Fraser mentioned in one of his videos recently about Gary, and I'm in the same thing where I'm a slow starter. Like, I am shit at everything I try at first. I'm not naturally good at like anything.
Yeah, me too.
But I get really good by like practicing and keep like I have perseverance to get good at stuff, and that's how I end up getting somewhere with it.
Yeah.
And I really like how you guys are always like, I'm more than willing to try this idea, but then we'll be like, this idea is ass once you actually try it, and that's one of the things I really like about feedback from you guys, is to anecdotally actually look at something and analyze it. Like, we'll try it, but then I know or do or don't agree. Like, that's how growth happens, is like you test stuff and like, oh, this sucks, but at the same time, that's how you have to grow. You can't ever grow if you don't try. Exactly.
So after Indy, that's pretty much like most of the highlights, like the high points of the year. A few tournaments here and there, like a 2K or a 1K on my birthday weekend, same weekend of nationals. I got sacked by a Diva Hero player and didn't get to top. Then there was like another 2K. I think I did end up topping that one, pretty sure. I finally did break what I call the Timmy Max curse. Historically, always just done bad there. Don't know why. Finally managed to win one of those, which was nice. Topped a couple of Switch events. Then we had like the Big Boy Gaming events a couple weeks ago. And then my team went undefeated in the 3v3, which was super cool. And that's about it. Since then, I've played in one Switch event, went X1 and bubbled and got 5th, which is terrible. And then this weekend, we have a Switch event alongside Secret Santa going on. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Dude, so much cool stuff in your area. Like, we don't have anything. I think all year, there was like a Ultimate Caius tournament in St. Louis. Like, the retro scene is like basically our little locals that I go to twice a month. One GOAT, one Edison, sometimes a random format thrown in there to spice it up. But we don't have like Switch tournaments or PS5 tournaments or anything like that. I wish we did. Like, I'm super jealous that you guys get all those like quality testing aside from like just like your play, like your test screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're incredibly lucky to be where we're at, because we get a lot of support from like our local shops on like Time Wizard stuff, and our community is like, everyone is pretty dang good, dude. Like, you seldom go to one of these events and get a free win.
My community is small here locally, but it's very, very good. Like, whatever I was saying earlier, how like, how much, whatever Ty was like, oh, it was an online local, but Fraser's locals online are really, really hard. Like, my in-person local is they're never online. They don't travel to events because we're in the middle of the Midwest. Like, nothing comes here. And like, well, I'm not going to spend $1,000 to go possibly win, a $40 mat, which I understand. But
Yeah.
they're like, some of the people here are crap. Like they're really good. And so whenever I got my player of the year thing, I was like, I felt a lot of pride with it because like the people, every single person that I played at Nats, excited for maybe like not top 8 or like maybe 2 guys that I played against, most of the people in my local school would have wiped them as well. Like
Yeah.
it's so we have a strong local, just not no online presence, and we don't have anything around us. But it's really cool that you guys get out all those like additional things to have. Like you're only as good as people you play against at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So growing that community, kind of like that's what I do online. I try to be a part of different discords and different things to just get different ideas from different people, and then like one of my favorite parts of this year is like joining you guys. Like it's been nothing but exponentially growing for
Yeah.
like
I love it, dude.
my skill base, and hopefully can bring some merit to help you guys as well.
Yeah, you most definitely have. We've really enjoyed having you. Definitely the one of the highlights of the year was adding you to the team.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I think that's pretty good for Edison Wrapped for 2024. Do you guys have anything that you want to add before we get out of here?
I know you unlocked a memory for me for this year. I completely forgot about. I topped the Tengu tournament this year as well. At the beginning of the year,
there you go.
Got top 4 with X Sabers this year, and I completely forgot about it.
I forgot about that too. Yeah, shouts to you.
I won my local Perfect Circle like Monarch tournament, and I won my we had a big goat tournament, which was like I think it was our 25th event for like retro tournaments. We've been doing it for like 2.5 years now, going on 3 years. And this was like the big one where the store gave us like a bunch of additional prizes. And I was able to win that one. And they one of our friends, one of our local friends, Nathan, shout out Nathan, he's awesome too. Love you guys. And he made this cool little I sent you guys the picture of it, but like it's this like Springfield goat champion, and then he put a scapegoat in there. Well, I took out the scapegoat that he had, and I had an ultimate rare one, and I glued the ultimate rare one into that thing to make it like a little trophy. And so I got
cool.
that to add to my little wall of accomplishments. I have my nationals mat. I have my first ever regional top mat from 2010. I have my Edison Club mat that you sent me that I love. And so I've got all those planned to be framed. I just haven't framed them yet. So I've got a couple little accomplishments that I've done, this year that I want to get framed up. And I'm excited to see where 2025 will take us. Like not only like us as players, but like us as people and like us as a team. Because I think we'll be a force to be reckoned with in the 2025 season.
Yeah, I definitely do too. For sure. Okay, guys. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We do accept fan mail and listener letters. You'll find the email address below. It's TheEdisonClubFanmail@gmail.com. Send us some letters. We'd love to read those, give you guys advice on anything that you want to hear. And lastly, I'll just say happy holidays to everyone. And I look forward to making you all content and learning more about Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2025. So this is Mike, Ty, and Austin from the Edison Club signing out. Until the next one.
Hamster Ryko Caius, Hamster Ryko Caius. I go check the pairings, I'm like, don't know who this guy is. Hamster Ryko Caius, Hamster Ryko Caius. 2-0 every round, man, and I ain't even trying. It's just Hamster Ryko Caius, Hamster Ryko Caius.